Have you ever wondered why siblings from the same family can be so different? Why the oldest might be more responsible, while the youngest seems to thrive on attention? Or why the middle child is often the peacemaker and the only child seems to be wise beyond their years? It turns out your birth order might have more to do with your personality than you think. Let's explore how the order in which you're born shapes who we are and why it matters. Hi, I'm Jordana Baker, a registered psychotherapist, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of birth order and personality. Whether you're the firstborn, the middle child, or the youngest, or even an only child, your position in the family can have a lasting impact on how you see the world, how you interact with others, and even how you see yourself. Let's start with the firstborns. As the oldest, they often take on a leadership role in the family. They're typically seen as responsible, reliable, and achievement-oriented. Why? Because they were the first to experience their parents' undivided attention and high expectations. Think about it. When you're the first child, your parents are figuring things out with you. They're documenting every milestone, reading every parenting book, and probably setting the bar pretty high. But here's the flip side. All that attention and expectation can come with pressure. Firstborns often feel the need to be perfect, to set an example, and to live up to those high expectations and high standards. This can make them natural leaders, but it can also make them overly critical of themselves and sometimes of others. Sound familiar? If you're a firstborn, you might find yourself taking charge in group settings, but also feeling like you have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Think of a firstborn who grew up being the second mom to her younger siblings. She was always the one organizing family events, helping with homework, and making sure everyone was on time. Now as an adult, she's successful project manager, but she always struggles with perfectionism and feeling like she has to do everything herself. Now, what about middle children? Often referred to as the peacemakers. They tend to be more adaptable and diplomatic. Growing up sandwiched between the older and the younger siblings, they learn to negotiate and compromise. They're the ones who can see both sides of an argument and often step in to smooth things over. But this adaptability can come at a cost. Middle children sometimes feel overlooked or invisible. They might struggle to find their place in the family, especially if they feel like they don't have a clear role. They're not the responsible firstborn or the baby of the family. They're somewhere in between. This can make them incredibly empathetic and skilled at reading people. But it can also leave them feeling like they're not quite belong. Take me for example. I'm a middle child. I was always the one trying to keep the pace. Now, as a therapist, I see how these early experiences shape my ability to listen, empathize, and help others navigate conflict. But I'll be honest, it wasn't always easy. There were times when I felt invisible, like my needs didn't matter as much as my siblings. But it's something I've had to work through both personally and professionally. And that's the thing about a middle child. It teaches you a lot about balance and compromise, but it can also leave you questioning your place in the world. If a middle child, you might find yourself naturally drawn to roles where you can mediate or support others, but it's important to remember to advocate for yourselves as well. The youngest children, on the other hand, they're often the charmers of the family. They're used to being the center of attention and can be more outgoing and creative. They've grown up watching their older siblings navigate the world, so they often learn to use their charm and humor to get what they want. But being the youngest isn't always easy. They might struggle with being taken seriously or feeling like they're always the baby of the family. They're often seen as carefree and fun-loving, but they can also feel like they're living in the shadow of their older siblings. If you're the youngest, you might find yourself craving independence while also enjoying the perks of being spoiled. And let's not forget the only children. Without siblings, they often develop strong relationships with adults and tend to be mature for their age. They're usually self-motivated and confident, but they might also struggle with sharing or dealing with criticism. Growing up, they've had their parents' full attention, which can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, only children often excel in school and careers because they're used to being self-reliant. But on the other hand, They may find it harder to navigate group dynamics or compromise because they're so used to doing things on their own or in their own way. If you're an only child, you might relate to feeling like you're an old soul, but also struggling with teamwork or even sharing the spotlight. Of course, these are just general patterns, and not everyone fits neatly into these categories. Family dynamics, parenting styles, and individual experiences all play a role in shaping who we are. For example, if you're firstborn, but there's a big age gap between you and your siblings, you might feel more like an only child. Or if you're the youngest, but your parents didn't spoil you, you might not relate to the charming free spirit description. And let's not forget that birth order isn't destiny. It's just one piece of a puzzle. What matters most is how you use this insight to better understand yourself and your relationships. Maybe you're a middle child who's learned to embrace your adaptability, or firstborn who's working on letting go of perfectionism. The goal isn't to put yourself in a box. It's to gain clarity and compassion for who you are and why. So, what's your birth order? Do you see yourself in these descriptions? I'd love to hear your experiences. Reflect on these. How do you think your position in the family has influenced your personality? Are there traits you've developed that you're proud of, or challenges you're still working through? And how can you use this understanding to improve your relationships with your family, your partner, or even yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insightful intro psychology and personal growth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.